Hello. Today I'm going to tie for you a sparkle Biot Midge. Just a name I made up. I'm not trying to get a fly into some catalog or sell a bunch of them. More or less, it's the materials I used. So this is a midge, at least in my estimation, and we're going to do it on a size 20 TMC 206 BL barbless. I'm going to use this rabbit foot. I guess technically it's a snowshoe hare, and it's kind of a grayish dun color, but I'm also going to back that up with a little bit of this poly yarn. Feel free to substitute. I'm going to use a Goose biot. This is just a natural Goose biot. And I'm going to hold it all together with this uni thread, size 8/0 in gray. And we often speak about it, but we rarely show her on camera. So here's some Sally Hansen's. So we'll get the thread started on the hook and see if I can come up with some stories to entertain you in between the exciting chapters of tying this fly. So I split that rabbit's foot down the middle. I saw other people do that. It's kind of a fast way to get to the good fibers on a rabbit's foot or a hare's foot like that. So um, I took a clump of it, pulled out all the, I guess I'll call them guard hairs. And basically you just keep working your way back until you get the fiber diameters that you want. And I didn't quite go all the way back to that real fine under fur at the base, but so stop somewhere in between. I am going to trim these to length, so I'm not too worried about how even they are or any of that. I think just like the poly, there's no problem with trimming the rabbit fur even. So this part's kind of based off a sparkle done, and using a little rabbit's foot on the small flies. Sparkle's done has real coarse fibers, or some of it does, some of it doesn't. The rabbit fur is fine, but it doesn't necessarily have that strength and stiffness that I wanted. So this combination kind of made sense to me. So I'll tie that back. It's kind of almost halfway back. So there I just got my thread positioned where I want the back side of this wing to like bend up. So I start working my way back. Fiddle with it a little bit. These stray hairs, and if you wear magnifiers or anything, you see hair everywhere, and I'm going to fiddle with it and make sure that I have it all on top and kind of right where I want it, more or less. None of this matters, but when you start to do the tiny ones and you wear the magnifiers and look at it through the camera, you can see every little stray hair. So I'm going to work my way down around the bend, but it's right about here I realized that. And again, I think I stole this from somebody else, but I came up a little, back up a little bit, and I'm going to trim some of those fibers away. We don't need all those fibers for a Shuck. So I took about half of them out of there. And now we'll finish working our way back to the bend, or down around the bend. And I'll come back and forth a little bit and fill in the low spots. We're going to use a biot, so we want that underbody to be pretty smooth. So I have a single biot. I have the smooth edge toward the back. So if you guys look at, if you're using the notch, that would be the notch towards the bend or back of the hook. What I like to do is get that thread positioned right where I want that to start, and then crisscross. So I'll reach behind that biot and then pull the tip down, pull it up into where I'm wrapping thread. So we'll wind that in, smooth it off. And except for this being pretty tiny, everything's pretty much as you might do something else. So I'm going to put a half hitch on this because I don't want anything to come loose when I'm wrapping the biot. We use the bobbin cradle, and I'm going to wrap this into a little bit of that Sally Hansen's. You could use super glue. The only reason I don't is, in this case, I'm going to use little Sally Hansen's on the outside of that biot as well. And I don't know if there's a chemical reaction between super glue and Sally Hansen's, but I've seen that stuff turn white and um, kind of look bizarre after it sits a while. This thing's so small, I don't know that a fish would notice, but good rule of thumb. So I'll get this biot started, get a wrap or two on there, start working my way forward. Trying to keep it smooth. These biots are just a little bit on the short side. They're great for these little midges, but be nice if they were bigger. And sorry about reaching in front of the camera, but I'm going to get a wrap across there. Hold it snug and take those little hackle pliers off. And we'll get a couple more wraps to hold that down, and then I'll snip off the butt end of the biot. I caught myself. I looked at that too. My hands are kind of shaking around. That's me looking back and forth between the camera and then looking at the through my magnifiers I'm wearing. And you think you're holding still, but apparently I wasn't. I'm a couple of cups of coffee too many this morning, maybe. So we like what we see. Probably another good time to put in a half hitch, but I didn't. And we'll get another coat of that Sally Hansen on the outside. Blocking your view so you can't see my painting skills with the bodkin. But I have a nice coat all the way around. Looks pretty good. Got a little stripe there. Alright, so it's about here I realized I didn't show you. I'm going to put a little superfine dubbing around that wing. But this was a good time to kind of splice that in because you have to kind of go away for a couple of minutes and let that Sally Hansen's dry. So we did a little fade away. We showed you the dubbing, and I'm going to twist some of that superfine around the thread here. And again, feel free to substitute maybe something more buggy here, a little bit of natural fur. Maybe I want this to float in the surface film. I'm probably not going to be able to see this bug. This is probably going to be on probably a dry, like dropper system. I'll use a bigger dry fly that I can see, and then that'll give me an idea where this guy is. And if I see dimples or if the big dry fly moves, then we set the hook. So a couple of wraps in front and back. Stuff's kind of a pain. It doesn't stay twisted. I could have waxed it, I suppose. Now here's a little thing too. So I'm pulling off the excess. It's long stapled, so it'll kind of just pull away. Then I'll go to the front and build a little head. And then I want to pull this to the bottom and kind of saw it off so it doesn't look too, I actually ended up clipping it, but saw it off and try not to make it look too chopped off there. And it may kind of nipple the water and look like legs, look like movement. So we'll get our whip finish on here, and then that's pretty much it. The rest is primping and trimming. So I've mentioned this before. I'm left-handed, and I can use scissors with either hand. Those are the little snips that kind of work well in the left hand. They're not really a left-handed model, but I can hold tension on them, and in this case I'm only sawing anyways. But you can snip with them if you're a lefty like me. And again, I make it look chopped off at the end. The sawing was irrelevant. And we'll see if we can get all those little fibers to kind of bundle up. And basically I'm just going to trim this about the length of the hook shank. Snip away any wild hairs from the rabbit fur. I don't know. All my midges lately have been all about getting them wet, getting them in the surface film, and um, more often than not last year, they weren't taking dries off the top. Those fish I was in front of, or were in front of me, were just kind of nudging the surface, catching these things as they were floating underneath or about to emerge, or maybe they were, in some cases, they were spent. You probably could divide those wings and make yourself a spinner version of this, easy enough. But just trying to stay busy. There's still snow here in Pennsylvania, and I think it's going down to 6 or 7 degrees tonight. So hope the fish found a nice place that doesn't freeze over, and I'll be after them soon enough. All right, so I'm going to quit primping right there. See if I can give you a little closer look. Well, we're going to, sorry, got ahead of myself here. We're going to put a little drop of that Sally Hansen's on the whip finish. And I went ahead and left that gray. I could have darkened that up too, but the contrast I think is kind of cool. All right, there's our larger version zoomed in. This might do some damage. At least I hope the fish thinks so, and hope that helps you out. And if you want to learn more about me, look me up on Amazon. And until next time, be safe.